corruption. I'm going to call it out, whether it's you, your wife, whether it's Russell, whether it's Mary, whether it's anybody else. I'm going to let it be known. Time for this month's town hall meeting in Otter Creek, where literally anything can happen. So a council member just told me to shut up. We're getting ready to head over to the year's most anticipated town hall meeting, where Lynette and Crook could literally be arrested and jailed tonight. Russ The Suss has something up his sleeves, and we're taking a lazy boy because one of the new council members had a death-defying accident, almost lost his life, broken bones everywhere, but he's declared he will be there to take his seat. We think he ought to sit in a lazy boy so he's comfortable. Brett and Madam Mayor Therese, well, former Madam Mayor Therese, are gonna head on over to make sure Crook and Lynette aren't there, and then you'll give me a text?
Yes.
Okay, and then he'll let us know that they're not there, and then that way we can swing on over. And hopefully we don't have any issues like we did last time where they broke the civil protection order for an hour and a half. From the get-go, something was off about this meeting. There's no doubt in my mind there have been backdoor conversations, which is illegal. It's against sunshine law. You can't talk about the aspects. You can't talk about the details of anything unless you're in an actual sessioned meeting. And yet, somehow, Lynette and Crook knew not to show up because they knew somebody else wasn't going to be there. And yet, they sent the goat. They sent the sacrificial lamb. They sent Don the Con, who complained last meeting it was a circus, and yet it's these people that are using him as a clown. We're gonna take this in for Carl.
Let's grab one side and don't let it kick back.
Yeah. Carl is a long-term resident of Otter Creek and a friend and a former Marine. And if you know anything about former Marines, they're always a Marine. Guy's tough as nails. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, to the very day of this Otter Creek meeting, Carl had an accident on his motorcycle. On one of the roads in Otter Creek, he hit some gravel. He went down, and he went down hard and bad on his motorcycle. And it is an act of God. It is literally a miracle that one of the other residents, Michael, he actually found Carl. Carl was going in and out of consciousness, and I'm going to share the story as he shared it with me. And Michael has contacted me as well and shared his side of the story, and it completely lines up. Michael was telling Carl, no, don't try and get up. Carl was trying to get up because of the pain. Carl was trying to help himself. Michael was telling him, back down, lay down, don't move, which we all know the smartest thing to do at this point is not to move, to not cause any more injuries. Carl had a tremendous amount of internal bleeding that literally could have taken his life if, number one, Michael didn't find him when Michael did. If Michael didn't act how Michael acted. So Michael contacts the authorities. Michael goes and gets Carl's wife. And then Life Flight comes. Life Flight, literally, with Michael and Life Flight, saves Carl's life. If they would have taken Carl in an ambulance, he would have bled out internally. He would not be with us to this day. Carl remembers just bits and pieces. He remembers a voice telling him to lay down. Carl remembers waking up in the hospital, horrifically in the hospital with broken bones. As a matter of fact, in just a moment, Carl's going to share with you some of the injuries he sustained. And yet this man who ran for council, who earlier in this past year told Don the Con, I'm coming for your seat. This man who is trying to improve this town for not only himself, for his family, for all of the residents. He is so dedicated. He cares so much. 2 weeks ago, he could have died, and yet 2 weeks later, he's here at the meeting. It's astounding, the commitment, the resolve this man has. And I can say 100%, once a Marine, always a Marine. He won't give up. We're going to go over by the office door for Carl.
Hey, Doug. How are you?
I lost it.
Whoop. Lost it?
Yeah, I was walking backwards in sandals.
Hello.
We'll put it right over here for Carl. And we probably... Okay. All right, I passed Carl on the way. He is on the way. And we'll have comfortable seating. I figured the least we can do for a man who has fought so valiantly for our freedoms and our rights in our country is to make sure that in all of his pain, he has some comfort during this meeting. 3 minutes of public comments doesn't mean nothing to you?
it does.
Don the Con just showed up on scene and tells me that I should not speak. I should only listen. He's told me multiple times in the past he does not represent me. I am not a resident of Otter Creek.
But you just said all I should do is listen.
That's what you should do. Depends what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to call things out the way that I see them. When it's corruption, I'm going to call it out, whether it's you, your wife, whether it's Russell, whether it's Mary, whether it's anybody else. I'm going to let it be known.
You know,
I'm going to let it be known. It's not okay. It never has been, it never will be.
Wrongdoings. Another word
Wait,
for.
so a council member just told me to shut up. All right.
that's how he's your.
So that's how you handle the issues. That's how you take care of your residents. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he represents you as a resident, and that's how he acts.
I think I might have hit a little nerve with Don when I called him out, and particularly his wife, Rosemary. So before there was Mary Mathescary, there was Rosemary in town hall. And she kept it like a dump as well. And she never met any deadlines. And as a matter of fact, in the 6,000 emails that we got in our records request, we have found out that she was running things very, very wrongly. As a matter of fact, we know of at least 3, not 1, not 2, 3 different businesses out of town hall. That's stealing resources from the residents, taxpayers' money, for whether it's utilities, whether it's for equipment, computers, you name it. All of that stuff should have been done at her own home, at her own time, in her own office. You think Don the Con would be okay if Belinda was doing the exact same things in the town hall office? Or what about Deanna? Remember when Deanna was actually helping to try and get things back on track when Madam Mayor inherited a huge garbage dump pile in that office. Everything out of control. Everything misplaced. And then Russ The Suss, 2 meetings ago, was literally going to try and take over mayorship, fire Belinda, and place Lynette of all people, Lynette, who cannot speak, who cannot do emails, who cannot use punctuation, grammar, sentences, and you're going to put Lynette in charge of everybody's money in the town. I've got to say, one of the stupidest, absolute foolish, absolute incredibly incompetent decisions I would think could ever be made in this town. And yet it never happened. Not at all. But Don is a little bit upset because I'm calling his wife out for what she did. And we're not even through all the emails yet. And yes, we will get back to them. And yes, we're still working on publicizing them so that you can download them in ebook fashion.
Yeah!
Oh my God.
There he is!
He won't even accept help.
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm tough.
Okay, the chair is ready for you.
All right, I appreciate it.
I know, he's a Marine.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wait,
Oh, it's a motorcycle.
how many broken bones?
Clavicle in 4 places, 4 ribs, 2 of them in multiple places. The tibia where it joins the knee. Lots of road rash, obviously. Spleen removed.
How are you up?
Internal bleeding. I don't know.
You should sit. You should
Has
probably
anybody
sit
noticed
down.
there's nothing wrapped to his crotch and all he's got is that one little
Yeah.
brace?
You want us to
Your
get you a
brace
bandage
isn't
and
high
wrap
enough.
Your leg up to your crotch?
That happened.
He's tough as nails, and he's got true grit, and he won't give up on his people or his hometown. And yet you have Crook, on the other hand, who wants to constantly talk about wrapping his legs up to his crotch. And he can't even remember which leg on which any given day. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I believe George just got another picture of Crook, and he forgot something. He forgot completely which leg to wrap.
We counted 34 staples. Jeez. So, joining my midsection back
And
together.
he's tried to show me, and I almost passed out. I was like, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. I can't take it
And I'm
anymore.
so glad you're okay.
Yeah,
It's a
there were
miracle.
definitely some there. Some disarmed too.
Yeah, you don't get those kind of scrubs on the dirt.
He's healing
Yeah.
up nicely though.
Can't believe how
Yeah,
well
they're,
you're
they're
healing.
it's
Especially-
coming back.
Especially your
but you'd have
face.
the long scrapes that went with it.
All right, 11 minutes. Ready to take a seat?
Let's go.
I challenge you to continue to pray for Carl and his family as you pray for the town of Otter Creek. And also, he's got a lot of medical bills. I'm going to pin his GoFundMe in the comments of this video. Just about 5 minutes until the meeting starts, and there's been a lot of talk already over town, all around town, because remember, it's 100 people, about Russell planning something. Now, Russell, for the past few months, has been scrambling, doing anything he can to try and stay on council, to try and stay on board. But you have to recall when Madam Mayor took mayorship, she appointed Russ the Suss to the 1-year term, and he has to take it. That's the legality of it, pure and simple. And through this, Russ the Suss has been trying to fight all of this because Madam Mayor did not fill out Form 6. Madam Mayor went on to sell the campground, and Madam Mayor is out living her best life possible on the road. And we're thrilled for Madam Mayor and her husband, Brett. They're having a ton of fun doing a lot of things that, frankly, we would like to do at a certain point in our lives as well. It's just not that time yet for us. But I am starting to get a little bit concerned about the time because I don't see Vice Mayor Zim, I don't see Russ the Suss, and Russ the Suss is supposed to have some big thing going on. As a matter of fact, Bronson's own resident who claims to know everything about the law and everything going on in Otter Creek, which, by the way, just proves there's illegal conversations going on. I can't understand how people so ignorant and foolish and stupid continue to post on a daily basis, incriminating themselves and others, and yet she still does. She claims she knows something big is going to happen. Russ the Suss is staying on the town council. Have a look for yourself. You read it from Marla herself. Watch! And I gotta tell you, debunking Marla makes me feel so good. By the way, Marla's the designated third-party mouthpiece for Lynette now, further incriminating Lynette and Crook on a daily basis. Boy, you gotta believe Ohio and Florida courts are gonna love having her in the courtroom.
A minute till 7. Still no Russ the Suss.
The major order of business in this meeting is to seat the new council members. But to do that, the old council members must be there. There has to be a quorum to officially open a meeting, to then seat the new members, and then to close the meeting. Without a quorum, and a quorum just means a majority, there are 5 seats, so there must be 3. But if there's 3 people, which is Vice Mayor Zim, Don the Con, and Russ the Suss, to seat the other people, we at least have to have, gotta have all 3 in all reality. I mean, can you do it with 2? I don't even think the lawyer would allow it to happen with 2. Russ the Suss knows that. And it's a minute till 7. And Don the Con is looking around. And Don the Con is going to say some things very incriminating for both Don the Con, Russ the Suss, Lynette, Crook, maybe even Marli Huge.
Don the Con was just texting. I'm gonna guess he was texting Russ the Suss. That's my guess.
Don the Con pulls his phone out, and then he's pushing some things. Now, he was either texting or he was texting and turning on filming. And then he puts his phone in his pocket like this so he can film. Remember, he's a legal council member. Any recording is not legally allowed to exit the building. As a matter of fact, Russ the Suss is under ethics violation investigation right now for that and 12 other things. Particularly some very disturbing things, such as telling residents to punch him, sue him. It goes on and on for the immoral acts of very gross immoral acts with females in exchange for water. So now Don the Con has his phone right here, and the meeting is seconds away from opening. Russ the Suss isn't anywhere. We still haven't heard from Zim either, and he's recording. Now, you understand that this man, as I just called out as he entered corruption, he is recording for one person and one person only, and that would be for Shart, who has no relevancy in this world whatsoever, who wants more than anything to be famous, and all she'll ever be is a Shart, a useless oopsies in the backside of your pants.
No Russell. Zim's not here. Okay, there's the door. There's the door. Oh, that's Albert Fuller. Still no Russ the Suss. What time's your phone say?
My phone says it is 6:59. Mine says
7 o'clock.
Okay, we are missing Russ the Suss and Zim Paddles. It's 7 o'clock.
I find it odd, and I don't use that term quite enough as I quote and make fun of Don the Con, that they don't want a YouTuber in town because of a camera. And yet Don the Con has his own camera pointed at me, of all people. They all are claiming, Toontown is coming! And they're all creating videos and content.
Mr. Severino, it's 7 o'clock. You're the only one here. I don't know if you want to wait, or if not, I think you can call the meeting to order and just announce the lack of a quorum and adjourn.
Well, lack of forum, turned into, other than a town meeting, so my suggestion is that we reschedule this meeting.
That's fine.
Any other suggestions?
No,
I didn't think so. There's really no options.
no, there's not. Not without a quorum.
Thanks for coming. All of you.
I listened,
All
Don.
of you.
I listened.
Just continue to listen.
Oh,
You're getting better.
What?
Are you adjourning the meeting?
We're adjourning the meeting.
Yes,
So,
the meeting is
check them?
adjourned. There never was a meeting to be adjourned, actually.
Well, looky there. It looks like Marli Huge got debunked yet again. Okay, so let's try and break this down a little bit. Now, Don the Con says there was no actual meeting anyway. We can take that one of two ways. Don the Con has been in conversations with Russ the Suss. He knows Russ the Suss isn't going to show. If Russ the Suss doesn't show with 3 members on the council, he knows that you can't seat the new members, okay? So that's option number 1. And that's the most viable option. That's the most believable option, that this was all set up beforehand. Don the Con knew about it. Lynette and Crook knew about it, which is why they did not show, because they knew Russ the Suss wasn't going to show. And if there was only Zim and Don, then nothing could happen. Okay, that's option number 1. And it makes the most sense as we piece everything together. Except Marla Hughes is completely and totally wrong. Yet again. How does it feel to be such a horrific individual with facts that are never correct? Well, I'll never know, because I only present the real, true facts. And yet, on the other side, you've got Marla. All right, so Don also says there was never a meeting. We could take that as there was never a meeting because it never actually started. Therefore, you can't adjourn it. There's some truth to that as well. But I think when you put all the figures all together, the first one makes the most sense. Russ did not want to show because he did not want the new member seated. Or Russ also could have thought, here's option number 3, oh, well, because there is no election, which there isn't, and because seating the new members is part of the agenda, which it was, He's gone anyway, and he is gone. Russ the Suss has no seat, no say, no nothing after this meeting that you just witnessed that didn't even happen. He has no authority. He is no longer on the council. And if he shows up trying to claim he's on the council, which obviously he's not going to because he didn't even show up for this meeting, he'll be dismissed. As of this meeting, his term is officially, legally over.
No meeting, maybe when things get back to normal.
This is typical Otter Creek.
We'll be able to carry on town business as it should be.
Yeah, when is that gonna happen?
So many irregularities have been going on now, and
There's a meeting, they'll get
everyone should be aware of them. If you're not, well,
Irregularity.
you can be.
They'll get sworn in?
Just like last time, we didn't know who canceled, whether it was Russell or Zim. I mean, last time Russell said ain't no clerk, ain't no show, but we have the clerk,
And this
but
time,
no Russell.
Ain't no Russ, ain't no Suss.
Ain't no Zim.
Hold on, because we're about to find out what actually happened to Zim.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You almost died 2 weeks ago, and you were so committed. You were here.
Well, I was determined no matter what, I was going to be here.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yep.
Deanna just heard.
I was just told that the vice mayor is in the hospital and they're checking on him. He may have had a stroke. Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
All right. Potentially Zim's in the hospital. That lets us know where he's at. That doesn't let us know where Russ the Suss is.
Miss Belinda said that she just got a call not too long ago, I guess right before the meeting started, and that Zim is currently at the emergency room and they're doing tests on them, and he possibly had a stroke, but we don't know, so say a prayer.
Anything about Russ the Suss?
No, I didn't hear anything about him.
Laura even showed up.
So Laura Mott was here.
Dawn showed up. No, she walked out.
She walked out. Don showed up. Zim apparently is in the hospital. Nobody heard anything about Russ, right? Russ the Suss.
No.
And I didn't see
Carl's
Joseph
here.
either.
Carl's here.
Carl showed up
Joseph's not here.
in the Lazy Boy. Literally 2 weeks ago, to the day, Carl almost died. He could have bled out internally if Michael didn't find him, number one. That's miracle number one. Michael found him. And then miracle number two, he got life flighted. And that was able to get him the blood transfusions that he needed in enough time to where he didn't bleed out. And for him to be here 2 weeks later, literally beating death 2 weeks ago to the day and being here, that's commitment to this town. Wow. I'm amazed. Joyce, what do you think? So Zim had an emergency. That's understandable and called in. Russ the Suss to not show, but then Lynette and Crook not to show either, and we know they're communicating. That may tell us right then and there why Lynette and Crook didn't try coming again. Same thing as last month, they already knew there would be no meeting, and if Russ gave them a heads up, no meeting, then they didn't attempt to even show. A lot of the residents have heard from Vice Mayor Zim this morning, including myself. Yesterday, temperatures got near 90 degrees here in Florida, in Otter Creek. And so he had a tingling in his left arm. He went to the emergency room, was rushed. Obviously, age is an issue. Whether it be my age or Vice Mayor Zim's age, if there's tingling or something going on in the arm, you immediately go to the actual emergency room. And so they did a lot of tests. There was thoughts that it could have been a heart attack, potential of a stroke, the whole deal. And when they did all the evaluations and everything, they found out he has a pinched nerve that's actually numbing his arm. And so he does have appropriate meds now, and he is back in Otter Creek as of this morning. And yet, at the same time, we have no idea where Russ the Suss is. Of course, he could be up to his usual sus stuff and could be creeping all over town. The biggest question is, how are all these new members going to be seated on the town council? You've got Not Vermont, you've got Don the Con. Both of them will have 2 years. Can you imagine 2 more years of Don the Con? Well, I'll let you know that makes George happy because she finds him completely and totally hilarious.
I love him.
He is comedic relief to the 10th degree. Now, Not Vermont, not so much. There's not a lot up there. But then you also have Carl and Joe being seated in the 1-year seats. So there's a couple different things that could potentially happen. So the lawyer, Megan, she has the authority to seat them legally. But when will that happen? That could happen in May, which in May, I'll be back in Ohio. George is staying here in Florida. And for that meeting, I'll be flying back to Florida. I'll be flying back for all the town hall meetings, and I'll be flying back for the federal court, and I'll be flying back for the county court as well. So even though I'll be in Ohio working with Christian and Patience during the summer, I'll pretty much be 50-50 between Ohio and Florida in Otter Creek. But the other thing they could do is they could call a special meeting. A special meeting, I believe by sunshine laws, has to be pronounced and then 7 days after it's going to actually happen. So if they make an announcement today and post it, hey, we're going to have a special meeting. We understood there was emergency. Russ The Suss didn't show up. We're going to do a special meeting in 1 week. Well, those individuals could be seated in 1 week's time. We don't know what's going on currently. I don't know what the plan is. I'm not on town council. No matter how much Marla Hughes wants to say that I run this entire town. If I run this entire town, why didn't Russ the Suss show up?